Building mud banks out of turfs is a really good way of using the natural materials around you. And I remove the turfs from where I'm lowering the ground and put them on what I'm building. It's particularly good if you want to build a really steep bit. And the turfs sort of form a nice shape. So there's always a sloping side, and that's the side you put on your bank, so it's nicely sloping. You don't want an overhang because that might collapse. So here's a nice spot to put this turf, or maybe here. That would fit nicely there, but for one thing. And that is all these air pockets here and here. It needs something like pliable and squishy that you can put in there that's really made of the same thing. And for that, I'm going to need some buckets and a shovel. I would use a wheelbarrow, but all this mud is really bad on the path, so I'm using a wheelbarrow with heavy mud in it would be really difficult. So I'm going to use buckets for today until this mud dries out, and then I'll be back to the wheelbarrow again. Right, put that there, and those there. And now my boots off, and then I grab these and this, and just head down into the pond. Silt collects at the bottom of ponds. This is like a large shallow bit, but it has sort of deeper bits, and the silt tends to collect there. It's especially when the pond's fairly new, so you've got little bits of unsettled ground washing down. Particles of clay brought by the rain, and also you've got all the organic material from all the geese and the fish and all the plants growing here. So if I just reach down and show you a bit of it, fairly sort of semi-compacted layers of a mixture of clay particles and organic materials. It's kind of a nice mixture. It's like half topsoil. It's not quite topsoil. It sets, it looks like subsoil when it sets, but you can see all the dark material there, all the organic material. So what I'm going to do is get a bucket, but the buckets tend to need to stay in the shallow water because they kind of sink and drift off and stuff. So I'll keep that over there, weighted down with that bit. And now I'll just use the shovel to try and get some of that nice, perfect pond slop out. Just drag it along the bottom like that, and comes up with these huge slabs of soil here. And now my bucket's actually drifted off, so get that back again. And once you get a bit of soil, the first bit of soil in the bucket, it tends to weight it down, and then you can move it into slightly deeper water and it will just stay there. This little bit here is a bit where it's like deeper and where there's a huge build-up. If it walked there, you can see I'm sinking in really deep pond slop, so there's a huge reserve of pond slop here that you can use for ages. And when over here, it's you see I'm sinking, stand there in a sink, stand on the mud in the sink. So there's like a good foot or more of pond slop here, which is quite difficult to walk in. So if I go back over here to the edge of it, I've got to here, and I can feel solid ground here. So I just work on it like a face and work into it from this side. Just shake it in there, and then got a nice big load here and put that in the bucket. About 3 shovels does a bucket really. They do fill up pretty quickly, and that's where I come into the deep mud there. So very carefully here and get some more out like that there. Here the mud face begins here, so you just go in like that, just gets a nice big load of this mud here, which is so useful for building banks. When the buckets are full, just put that there a minute, just to take them up into somewhere a bit drier where they're not going to fall over. So for now I'll just put them there, and then I'll get another bucket ready to hold it really whilst you put the first lot in. So and then that weighs it down, and then it could just sit there quite happily then. And I get another bit. And keep filling them up like that really. So when you're going into the mud face, do little jerky movements like that into the mud. Like this and that and that and that and that. And that way it sort of compacts and you get a really big load of mud, and it takes less shovels to fill the bucket. If you get a nice big load like that, it only takes 3 shovels to fill a bucket. So just sort of get it at the bottom of the mud face like that, and then jerky movement, working inwards, and you'll sort of feel when it's really heavy, and then just lift it up and you've got loads of fresh sloppy mud. And when the buckets are full, I put a full shovel here on this shelf, get another bucket ready, and sort of just hold it in place with my feet, and then put this shovel in to weight it down, like that. And then these other full ones, really, it's going to be quite slippery. Just put those up here with these ones ready to be carried down. So here is the face of the slop, and so let's go into the bottom here, gentle jerky movements like that, and it all sort of like stacks on the top, hopefully, like so. One of those in there, and over here like that, and another great load here. I think just one more shovel. It's always a bit further in each time as he's sort of mining the resource. And it's good to remove this build-up of silt, more room for the fish, and that's all that. Now I'll put these with the other buckets up here. If it's a bit slippery, then just put one on a shelf like that, hold on to it, put the other one up there, and sort of do it like that, so you use the weight of the bucket to anchor yourself so you don't slip. And then I can get my shovel and put that where I can reach it, and then get these last two and put them here with the other ones. Whoa, that was kind of exhausting. I just have a little rest, and then I focus my mind to carrying these buckets all the way down there. But it's worth this because this is just a very, very good building material. This stuff is really pliable, and if I dry it out a bit, I can it can be more kind of pliable for sort of bigger, steeper bits. But I'm only sticking it between turfs, so it's not going to be a great big bit of it. If you make it just with this, then it's cracks a lot, and you have to go over it with more of this stuff to fill up all the cracks. But if you're just doing little bits between turfs, then it doesn't really matter. You get some cracks, but you could just smooth them over, that's fine. Nature does sort it out in the end, but these will go a long way, and I could do quite a lot with these, just going in between the turfs, because then the bits behind them just gets filled up with dry soil, and I don't have to collect that from very far. But this is the sort of the good stuff for gluing the bits together and making it a nice shaped bank and nice and sort of straight, and it's a very, very good pond slop, and there's a huge resource of it in the pond. That whole corner is you know, about that deep at least in places with this stuff, and so it's doing two jobs at once. It's sort of cleaning out this silt from the pond, and also it's getting the bank down there built. So I better put my boots back on and start carrying these buckets right down there. Of course, when the path dries out a bit, I'll be able to use the wheelbarrow to do this. It'll be much quicker, but for now the wheelbarrow is just pushing it through mud. It's just exhausting. So grab the first two buckets, whoa, and take them down there. So what I'm going to do now is just tip two of these buckets out on this dry subsoil here and let them dry for a bit, because they're very wet and pliable. So the bits that go behind can be all wet and sloppy, but the bits that go on the edge that need to be sort of quite more sturdy. So if I just put them out on the ground here, it's a really hot day and they'll dry really quickly. It's largely depends on how hot it is. If it was winter, it would take quite a while, but in the summer it can vary depending how hot it is. Today it's about 20 degrees, so probably take an hour or two. You don't want to leave it too long, because it would just turn into solid, hard clay, and that's no good for anything then. So trying to keep an eye on it and just let it get to a thicker consistency. I'll just leave this to just dry a bit, so it's more pliable and more usable. But I'll leave the other load in buckets. I'll just use them like fresh runny slop, because that will be really good for putting at the back and putting in the sides and getting in all the narrow little cracks. And then this stuff can sort of shore up the front bit. Whoa. Now I've got all the ingredients, I can get to building the bank. So if we go back now to the original turf here, and I'll just take this off, I'll just put it down here, and then I can get a bucket of this really, really wet gloopy slop, and just pick it up and put it here, and I can tip a load of it out into the back here, just the right amount. Just enough for a turf there, and going behind the other bits here, a little bit more than I need, so it just can squish into place and fill up all the air pockets. Now I pick up this again, and it should just squish into place. Yeah, like that, and it just smooths off the excess bits and squish that all into place, and then smooth and tidy up the front bit here, and and then move on to the next one. This one I can do the next level up here because this bit here is set. So I can use this sloppy stuff and put some over the top of the turf as well where the other one's going to go. And sort of shore up the back bit so it doesn't sort of slip or anything. And that should be enough. Now let's go and get another turf. Always get them into nice rectangular shapes. I do them 2 spades long and 1 spade wide, or sort of similar to that. Depends how strong I'm feeling. Normally it's sort of 2 by 1. It's kind of nice, easy to carry. And then always roll it over so that you've got the nice sloping face that you want on the edge of your bank. So you want it sloping inwards at like a 45-degree angle ideally. Probably need just a little bit more of this slop for this one, just to extend it a bit that way to make it the size of this turf. It's always really good to have a bucket of water to wash your hands in between doing stuff, and it saves your tools getting all muddy. Now get this turf lined up on the nice sloping side, and then just sort of put it in there like that, and break these back bits off, so give it a bit of support so it's not like weighted down and going to lean that way. There's always a few bits leaning that way. Just gently break them off and crumble them, and then squish some of this slop up behind it with the broken bits to make it nice and strong. And then just get a few more bits of slop and down into these cracks between the turfs, also underneath, so you haven't got air pockets. Just stick your fingers right in and smooth it off, and shore it up all round with bits of the slop, any bits of dry broken stuff as well. And there, that's looking kind of nice. And then move on to the next one. This bit here is only 1 block high so far, so I'm going to add this all totally dry and set, so I'll do another bit here at this level. Let's put some of this in, like this, and smooth the thin layer over the top of the existing bit, and I have quite a lot behind it for support, like that, and that, and then this one I think, ooh, that fits nicely there, and just runny stuff in there, right down in the deep little bits and the crevices, and some of this stuff behind it. There's already some stuff behind it. I put inside the bank, I put the lower bits subsoil and then the higher bits topsoil, and that sort of weights it down from inside, and then just compact it by treading it down. But the outside's got to be fairly strong and secure, so do that with turfs and slop, and then that sort of secures it in place for now. And then sort of go on then and do the next one, which is the same again. So you can get quite a few turfs done with each bucket, but you can make slop just by having a puddle and just walking in it regularly, or digging it around, and you can sort of make your own slop. But the stuff from ponds is brilliant. It's just so fine and just perfect. Here there's some cracks that are formed from where it's dried, and I can just squeeze this slop down into the cracks, just as if the cracks were never there then. And probably going to tip the rest of this one in here, and then always go around and scrape the bits out and just tuck them in there as well. Yeah, just like that, and then smooth that over the top there, and underneath this one, there's no air pockets there, And the cracks are so little here, this slop can actually support this. If it was like a higher bit, then I'd have to put some of the drier stuff in. I'll have to put some of the drier stuff in these higher bits here. Just smooth that down, and then get this one, and that one could go there. It's exactly how I want it to go. Break these back bits off, and then immerse them in the slop, and then they make the slop stronger. And that's going to go a bit there behind it, and make sure it's leaning inwards, and do that to it. And that's like another little section done here. Now I'm going to get a bit of this stuff that's dried a bit more, and some of it I'm just going to put behind these new blocks. I'm going to fill it up really with either subsoil or topsoil, depending how high in the bank it is. But just a bit of this stuff will really hold it securely in place. I can't really tread down topsoil that I put in there or subsoil, because it might dislodge the turfs. I don't want to do anything until they've dried. And then I want to get some of this semi-dried stuff as well, and just plonk it in between these cracks here, like that, to make it nice and even, nice level surface, and just smooth it until it stops kind of like trying to run. If it runs too much, you can always chuck a few dry bits of soil in there and it holds it in place better. Or it's just to replace it with something a bit drier. But that's holding together nicely. This has dried out to some extent. So here, this bit here, just put that in there, and a little bit more, and then just smooth it down. It's trying to run a bit, so just smooth these wet bits off like that and slap them in the back, and that does dramatically stop it from running. But it's a very hot day, so that should stay there now, but I might need to just smooth it over in a little bit if it runs a bit more. And then another bit here, and then that can go on that one there. See, the runny stuff doesn't quite do the whole job. It doesn't really go too vertically. The steeper it is, the harder it is to stay there. So you want this stuff that's dried a little bit. If the pond dries out, then the mud at the bottom goes through a period of just being the perfect consistency to use. But that should stay. I'll need to come over and just smooth it again in a bit. Just smooth the bits off it that are a bit runny, and just tuck them in the back there, and smooth this top bit off, so it's nice and level for when I do get to the next level. So it's like a nice sort of fairly smooth surface, although when I do the next level I'd put more slop on top so it's nice and squished in and everything. But before that, this has got to dry, and then I'm going to put some dry subsoil behind here, and then tread that down when this is all set and hard and solid. So if I did it now, this would just dislodge the turfs. So it's just a process of letting it dry now. But at this time of year, drying doesn't take very long. But it is not good to do it just before heavy rain. You can build banks in the winter. It's just not really if it's excessively raining and not going up more than one level at a time. This bank is going to divide two woodland paths. This is going to be a very thin strip of woodland, and this bank is going to make it seem bigger by having the path splitting two ways around it. So it's really like going to be a woodland bank. When it's finished, it's going to have another layer of topsoil, trees and woodland plants planted on it. And I want it to have quite a wide flat bit on the top, and that will mean I can't make it too high, but I think I can make it possibly about so high, and then have like a 3-foot flat bit on the top, width, 3-foot width. And this little bank is it's maybe about 20 feet long or something. It's just like a little braid in the path where the path sort of splits and divides around this little higher bit, so that you have a little different view on either side of it. and it's also a watershed for drainage as well. One side will take the water down that way, and one side will take the water this way into this pond over here. So with this last little bit, I can just get another turf done. I think here, load there, and this bit here, and this one just squished into there, like that, just the same as the others. The back bit's broken down into there and mixed with slop and squished down, and the slop smoothed there, and these last little bits of this slop from this pile I made here, which are kind of half dry, can go in here like this. And a few more little bits here. You can just go behind, and that's all the slop. Just wash my hands. Right. So I think that's about all I can do here today. I have to let it all dry now, but in this heat it should be quite quick. Probably a couple of days, maybe one day, maybe even half a day. If it's really hot, it sets really quickly. But if there is rain, really heavy rain, shortly after it's set, that can be bad. But usually once it's set, it's set. That's more a problem in the winter. Summer, it's really easy to build banks because it just sets so quickly, and that's really good. So when that's set, of course, then I'll fill it in with the lower parts with subsoil, the top parts with topsoil, so it's all got like a layer of topsoil, including on this side as well. And these steep banks will be very good habitat for many types of wild plants like primroses and bugles and wild strawberries and all sorts of things. This side faces north, this side faces south, so it should have totally different plants here. And then where it's lower down, you'll have like plants that like it a bit damp. On the top, you'll have plants that like it a bit dry. So you've got lots of different habitats here for lots of different plants. It'll be a bit of a windbreak as well from the cold north wind. This little bit here just needs going over a bit, sagged a little bit, so to get a bit of this semi-dry stuff and just put it on there, and that's better. And you might need to go over bits of it, you know, and that's okay. So I think that's all we can do for today. So hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you press the little me, which is somewhere down here, then you can see all my other videos, and I shall see you next time.